the Constitution was being written in Philadelphia in the summer of 1787, there was a lot of debate among delegates as to how powerful the federal government should be. Some advocated for an extremely strong centralized government. Some, in fact, even floated the idea of doing away with the states altogether. However, the delegates understood that the Constitution would not be ratified by the general citizenry via their state assemblies if it were establishing a very strong centralized government. The American citizenry was extremely suspicious of strong government at that time, and in fact, that theme continues today. We still wrestle with that issue. So what they did was write the Constitution with a very limited, relatively small, weak federal government so that the citizens would agree to its ratification. However, once it was implemented and the new government began to operate, the politicians who constituted the government, the Congress, the presidency, realized that they wanted more power than the new Constitution allowed them to have. For example, they wanted to fund the construction of canals. Some of them wanted to establish a central federal national bank. And those are things that they were not empowered to do in the new Constitution. So they initiated the myth of the General Welfare Clause. There is no General Welfare Clause in the Constitution. The phrase general welfare appears in the Constitution, but only as part of an explanatory part of the clause, Article 1, Section 8, the first clause that gives Congress the power to levy taxes. But the politicians began asserting that the Constitution gave Congress the power to do anything it wanted to do to promote the general welfare. That is not the case. And that trend has continued and has grown over 200 years until now. We have a federal national government that asserts that it has the power to do anything whatsoever that might contribute to the general welfare. This is not good because it violates the concept of rule of law. Rule of law is the idea that the government itself must obey the law. The government establishes laws that apply to the people and to the states, but the Constitution is the law that applies to the federal government, and the federal government is obligated under rule of law to abide by it, and our national government does not. This is important because without rule of law, there cannot be justice. Justice requires that everyone abide by written law that is available to everyone. Everyone can see it, everyone can understand it, and everyone, including the federal government, abide by it. Now, one of the beauties of the Constitution, which is a very progressive and liberal political document, is that it includes within itself a mechanism for amending the Constitution in a legal, orderly manner. So, for example, if we want a government that does things that contribute to the general welfare, and I think we all do. For example, I like the idea of space exploration. I think that contributes to the general welfare. Not everyone agrees with me, but a lot of people do. There's nothing in the Constitution that empowers Congress to engage in space exploration, right? But we can solve that problem without abandoning rule of law. Here's a suggestion. It might be done another way. We could pass an amendment that would allow Congress to do things that contribute to the general welfare. My suggestion would be, in order that the government not get carried away with this power, perhaps such laws would have to pass Congress by maybe a 3/4 vote or a 4/5 vote. That would limit the use of that power but would provide the power for things that the citizenry generally agreed to as being beneficial to the nation. So rule of law, it's extremely important, and its importance is that without rule of law, we cannot have justice. And society without justice is not good. Okay, thank you for listening. And it's a wonderful morning out here on the Barefoot Farm at the Actual Eyes Festival.
Yeah, I was. I was. We met earlier.
Yeah, I'm glad you came back. Jesus was Here we go. I hear you whisper, baby, you're the one. You're my mountain and setting sun. Until the time comes when everything floods, the river will overflow and it all comes undone. The storm's gonna come. The storm's gonna come. The storm's gonna come. The storm is coming. Don't be worried, it'll pass in a hurry. I see the ocean eating the beach, reminding me eternity is out of reach. Sifting through the sand like, why you gotta act like that? And it seems like, and it feels like a trap, you say. The storm